Hey, this is Keith from Save the Rust. Tonight I'm going to show you my post-war James ML. And ML stands for Military Lightweight. They kept that designation even after World War II. They used these area up till 1948. I think they were introduced in about 42. And we're going to go over this bike and tell you all about its unique features and its history. But what I'll start off with is how I got it. I've been looking for one of these for quite a few years. These are quite rare. During war production, they made just over 6,000. I hear varied numbers for production after 10,000 total production, up to 26,000 total production, up until 1948. So we're talking, 75 years ago, they stopped making these James MLs. So I was looking for one because these were used in World War II. Not really sure if this one was. I have to check out some more numbers on it and just figure out where it was in the production line. But a friend of mine sent me kind of gave me a number to a local guy who had this and was looking at selling it. And what's wild was that this was in the same family since like 1951. It was in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. And the guy I got it from, he actually, rode this back in the 70s as a kid. So it was amazing that it was in the same family for over 60 years, and I got the chance to buy it, and I jumped right on it, and of course, had to have it. And what my plan is I'm going to go back to a military look. I want to give this all, full military green with the blackout light, and educate people that in World War II they didn't just use Harleys and Indians. They used Jameses, they used Royal Enfield Flying Fleas, they used Nortons, they used BSAs, they used all kinds. Anyone who built a motorcycle, they basically used them to produce motorcycles for World War II. Everything was about, going against the Germany and Japan. So all kinds of different motorcycle manufacturers supplied war models. So we'll go over some of these unique features in a second here. Starting off, these little bikes got the nickname of Clockwork Mouse. And some of the facts on these bikes is this is a hand shift 3-speed with a Villiers 9D motor, 122 cc, top speed of about 42 miles an hour. It got around 100 miles per gallon. These were used by the British and Canadian troops from 43 to 45, and they produced right till 1948. On D-Day, they landed by gliders during the invasion and also came in on landing crafts used by the dispatch riders of its time. And some of the dispatch riders, riding these little bikes would get, kind of harassed a little bit, that they were riding a small bike. But in fact, a lot of the dispatch riders enjoyed these bikes because they were so light compared to the Harleys and Indians and Nortons of its time. Winston Churchill also had a James ML and rode it right up until his death. In post-war production, they added a speedometer, they added a different toolbox, lighting, and different handlebar mounts. Here you can see the 3-speed shifter and gate. So 1, 2, 3. And what's kind of neat is there's an earlier version of the 122 that had a hand shift. It actually came right off the transmission. So again, kickstart only. And what's interesting is how the back section on these frames actually bolt on, as opposed to it's a complete one-piece frame. These ones actually bolted on. This one's got a 2.2 two 5-gallon fuel tank. And there's some measurements on here to for your oil, because this is a 2-stroke. So you'd fill this up to a certain amount of gasoline and then pour it in there, and that would mix up, and that was how you mixed your fuel. This one's had a bit of customization over the years. You can see the original owner, he made up this decal. Quite a nice decal. It's kind of off of James' original style decal. He put on, I believe, a Japanese tail light, and he hooked up a big, battery for it when it shouldn't have had that style. He made the headlight and mounts and put on more modern levers, brake levers, clutch levers. We'll replace all that in the future. One of the things I want to point out is it's got a web forks. That is the make and style. And down here, that is the speedometer sprocket. It would have a mount off here with a little gear that would go on and spin, cable come up, and then there would be a speedometer mount right here. I do have some of these speedometers, so we will put one on, possibly or not. We'll see when we get there. So from this side, you can see the Villiers motor. This is your crankcase. This is where your primary chain is. And what's wild is how they cocked the motor forward. They leaned it, and then they made this really interesting mount and intake for the carburetor. And then the exhaust it's a twin port exhaust. So you got two different ports that the exhaust goes into the canister and then exit out the back. Again, we are missing a chain guard. I don't think any of these bikes of that era ever have one. I've never seemed to come across. And it's got a homemade center stand that works quite well. So that's the 1947-48 James ML military lightweight, and hope you enjoyed that. Hope you enjoyed that, learning a little bit of history, and one day this will get all put back to a military form, and we'll ride it. Take care.